Well, first of all, I'd be the first to admit that this is not rocket science here. This is really simple stuff. And I think, if anything, what the book does is take all these simple things that sometimes we take for granted and remind us of. At the end of the day, it seems so simple to say I'm sorry and to say thank you, but how many businesses, and how many people at businesses really go out of their way to do it? I find when I speak to audiences, when I talk about responsiveness, I like to ask if there are any lawyers in the audience, because with all due respect, I have found that a lot of corporate attorneys are the folks that aren't really fond of the words "I'm sorry." I mean, I think they sometimes see it as an admission of liability,
or weakness.
Something they don't necessarily want to embrace. But to me, it's not I'm sorry, I realize this is my liability. It's I'm sorry you feel upset right now. I'm sorry your experience isn't what you wanted it to be. I'm sorry you're having a tough time here. It's not hard to demonstrate empathy. It's not an admission of liability to demonstrate empathy. But as soon as you hear the words "I'm sorry," as long as it's genuine, that can diffuse literally almost any situation, because "I'm sorry" humanizes us all.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had some problems with and there's different "I'm sorries," right? So I've had some problems sometimes with, I try to schedule too much in and I'm running late or I miss something. Well, I'll go out of my way to, if that happens, to make a personal apology. Sometimes, try to throw a little surprise and delight there, throw in a gift basket or two. But people really do respond when you can genuinely say, "I'm sorry." Now, on the flip side of things, being able to be responsive not only to the bad, but all the good stuff is this huge opportunity that's sometimes forsaken in the name of dealing with the crisis, in the name of figuring out how to say "I'm sorry" and how to respond. Sometimes we lose sight of the importance of just saying thank you to all of our actual happy customers and happy staff, and being responsive to those folks is just as important, if not even more important. I use the analogy, I don't remember which book, in one or two, I use the analogy of a department store. Can you imagine if you're the manager of a department store and somebody walked up to you and said, "I just want to thank you. I've been coming here for so long. I come here every week. I buy everything from you guys. Your staff is so wonderful. I just think everything you have is so great." Can you imagine as the manager saying, "Hold on, I got to go deal with a cleanup in aisle 6 right now. I got to deal with it."
Yeah.
Right? You'd give that person a hug and give them some coupons and you'd want to be so happy and so thankful to that person. And yet so often we lose sight of the importance of being responsive to all of our actual happy customers, happy staff people.
Yeah. By the way, try an experiment, actually. I love this. If you go to a place that you get good service, call the manager over or whatever and just say, "This person did a great job," right? Because you will find, I did this to a buddy of mine the other day who, by the way, I showed him my book. He's the CEO of Geeks on the Way, which is a IT company up here. He said he'd buy your book just on the cover alone, by the way. So I will let him read it afterward. But he had some guys do some work for me, and I phoned him. I said, "Hey, your guy did a wonderful job." And he was throwing back. He goes, "Because literally all I get is people complaining to me all the time, right? And as opposed to someone actually give me a pat on the back, saying, 'You did something good here.'" So people that are watching or will watch this ultimately, go out of your way if someone does something good and make sure that their boss knows about it. And
well, it's a give forward tactic too. I mean, when you think about it, it tends to incite others to do the same, and people remember you for your positive comments. They really do.
Yep.
Absolutely. I talk about that in the book too. I talk about from a consumer's perspective, what are our responsibilities as consumers. And as far as I see it, you have a responsibility to call out unlikable businesses and hold them to high standards, but you also have the responsibility to call out likable businesses and to thank them and to spread the good word about them. I mean, to me, as consumers, we have a stronger voice than ever before. We always I'm sure there's a lot of business people and a lot of marketers watching this, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that everyone watching this is a consumer. Now, consumers, like I said, we have the biggest, best voice ever in human history right now. Whether you are a CEO or a tribesman in Africa, if you have a mobile phone with access to the internet, you have a voice. But how you use that voice, is a responsibility. And you can use it to both call out unlikable businesses like that hospital that wasn't giving me the communication that I so desperately needed. But you can also call out that when you get great service and when you have you can give them a shout out and help spread the word for them. And I think we owe the good businesses that as well.
You're bang on, by the way, with the voice. I mean, if you just take a look, Kirsten and I do a lot of this stuff with reputation marketing, online management of that process. But especially nowadays, because Google has bought Zagat and integrating it into the whole Google Plus local listings, that's even going to get way more relevant with the ability to actually just immediately put something up online about a business, right? It's the ultimate word of mouth is what it comes down to.
It's unfortunate because it's human nature to complain. I don't know where that conditioning came from, but essentially I guess we think that if we complain, we get our problems solved. And then, but we always forget that by praising someone, you also improve the quality of the product, because people do try harder then, right? So it's unfortunately that whole online review situation is kind of it's a bit startling at all the negative that you see out there.
Yeah, it is. It is. I just actually lost my train of thought. Who knew? What were you saying right before that?
We were just talking about Google and the Zagat and how that's the word of mouth.
And I'll cut that out.
So not only is Google doing great things in this space, but Facebook is doing huge things. I mean, the new Facebook graph search, I believe, is going to fundamentally change the nature of online recommendations and how we find things from our friends. And it's just getting started. Facebook's got it in a very small beta, but Facebook graph search has the potential to completely disrupt the way that we as consumers search for things based on what our very own friends and the friends of our friends like, recommend, and trust. And ultimately, it is that word of mouth that is most powerful, even more valuable to me than the ratings and reviews of my of random people on Yelp or Zagat or TripAdvisor are the ratings and reviews, the likes and recommendations of my own friends and the friends of my friends, because those are the people that I know I can trust.
Yeah,
it's true. Those are the ones that really count too, because we do trust our friends and families' recommendations beyond all online reviews. So really, that's crossing into that whole realm. That's so true.